This is also very touchy. People get very offended. When the Dalai Lama came to visit the museum to inaugurate our exhibition on Tibetan Buddhism, he had a lot of security, so some of the early intelligence bureau people who came to check on the museum were Muslims. They were very offended by this particular exhibition. They spoke to the Inspector General of Police of Pune, and he came and he threatened us that we will give you a show cause notice and you might go to jail. So we had to remove the exhibition while the Dalai Lama was there, and of course now it is back, and it is an important exhibition. Now we had an exhibition on Tipu Sultan to show him as he really was. He was also a monster, not on the scale of Aurangzeb, but quite a monster. So people get offended by that. Aurangzeb, of course, very touching. Now in Maharashtra, I don't know how many of you who are listening are from Maharashtra, but the political parties have divided the followers of Shivaji Maharaj. One side you have the Brahmins, who are mostly the holders of the knowledge, all the books, most of the books written about Shivaji Maharaj, the play that are in the hands of Brahmins. Then you have Maharashtrians who are from lower classes, who either have converted to Buddhism or become followers of Mr. Ambedkar, who was a remarkable man. So they're pitted against each other. As a result, there's no museum of Shivaji Maharaj. Like in my country, France, Napoleon was the equivalent of Shivaji Maharaj in France, had a huge place in the middle of Paris, huge place, fantastic. My parents' flat was next to this place, Les Invalides. There's a museum, there are, his tomb is there. It's an extraordinary place. So, but in Pune, when I first visited Pune, I found that I thought there would be a museum entirely dedicated to Shivaji Maharaj, but it's not the case. I was very surprised and shocked because of the politician, because they have divided the Maharashtrians. So as a result, Shivaji Maharaj image is suffering from that. So then that day I decided I should do something for Shivaji Maharaj, which I have done in my own small way. So when I started the museum, these Dalits threatened me and my wife. They sent emails, they sent letters. Some of them called and said, "Please do not put anything about Mother India, about Brahmins, about the Vedas, in this museum." They're against, because of the Indian theory too. They're against anything Hindu, but at the same time they love Shivaji Maharaj. It's a bit of a contradiction because Shivaji Maharaj was a proper Hindu, though he was very secular. He would never harm any of the women or wives of his enemies. He once scolded his son because he had taken Muslim ladies prisoners. But he was a true Hindu. He was a devoted devotee of Kali, of Mother India, of the Shakti. So these people threatened me. Some of them were, quite threatening. I said, remove that or. So what I did, I built a small shrine and I put a statue of the Buddha and a photo of Ambedkar. And after that, the threat stopped, the moment the threat stopped. So Indian history is a very touchy subject, very touchy. And a Frenchman doing a museum of Indian history is also even more, touchy. Indeed, Mr. Chief Minister of Gujarat helped me to get me, some sponsors, and I met 2 or 3 big business people like the Sanjay Kirloskar in Delhi, or the Kirloskar Motors in Pune. Actually based in Pune, or in Bombay, the Roya brothers. And of course, they all received me because Mr. Modi's word is very important. But in the end, after a month or 2, they would say, "Oh, it's very nice, but our area is more education and health and women empowerment, and we don't feel comfortable." So very difficult to raise money. That's the second problem for this museum. And hence, this program today is that it's difficult to raise money for that museum because a Frenchman doing a museum of Indian history. So that's a second difficulty of that museum. The third difficulty, of course, is less of a difficulty, is that one has to do everything, one has to fundraise. My wife is a great support indeed, and you have seen her when she lit the lamp with me. So support has been immense for me. She comes with me to the museum sometimes. She's designed some exhibition, like exhibition on the Veda that we have on the museum. But mostly I go and travel and meet, painters and historians, and start exhibiting. And go to the museum. We have a staff there of 7 people. So every month we find about 100,000 rupees, Indian rupees, for salaries and recurring expenses like water, electricity. We're trying to AC the museum because the paintings are getting spoiled after 7 years. Some of the priceless paintings that I've commissioned, which are really of a very high quality, are getting spoiled. So I'm trying to AC the museum now, which is not so simple because where we are, the electricity is not that stable. But Pune has caught up. The land was, far away and barren and no water, and all of the greenery, and their flats are coming up nearby. There's a big college or 2 who have come up near the museum. So Pune has caught up with the museum. The land has shot up. I don't think it was more than a few thousand rupees when I got it. Now there's a ring road coming nearby in the distant or near or far future, and the price of land, like everywhere in India, shot up. And when the land shoots up, it evokes interest. Politicians and crooks and land sharks. So that's another problem I have to face. This land. But on the whole, I feel that whatever books I have written 29 books in French and English, not only about Indian history, but India. I've written a book on Ayurveda, which is coming out next month in France. I'm writing a book on pranayama now. And pranayama, I've written a biography of Amritananda Mai, a book about Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. So books have a limited shelf life. The problem of books is that unless you're the Bible or Harry Potter, you book, because there are so many books coming out all the time. Of course, it slows down a bit, but it'll catch up. So there are good books coming out, not necessarily with good content, but well-written book, well-presented, coming out all the time. So the life of a book, is not very long now. It's 2-3 years, 4-5 years maximum. But the museum will stay. I feel that this museum, however difficult it is, and I'm doing it, with my own faults and my own, impatience, and I'm not a perfect man, of course. It will stay behind me. I'm hoping to do a more permanent, a more state-of-the-art museum, because we still have place on the land, on top of the land. But for that, I need, at least 15 to 20 crore rupees, which I'm not getting. The BJP government, whom I have supported right from, 25 years ago, when Murli Manohar Joshi went to Srinagar to raise the flag and was made fun by the entire Indian and Western press. I'm going to meet him next week in Delhi. And Mr. Advani was doing his Yatra, Raj Yatra. So I've defended the BJP from those days. So I haven't got a rupee from the Indian government. I think either some very rich philanthropist or the Indian government could give me that kind of money, which I'm not getting. But whatever I'm getting, I do a small building and do an exhibition, paint or digital, and put it in the building. So it keeps growing now. There are 17 buildings. I'm going to do 3 more buildings. There are 4 exhibitions in the building. One of them is Vijayanagar. The last great Hindu empire was Hampi or Vijayanagar, which was destroyed, for 3 months. It was ransacked. People were killed. It said that the river turned red. Every Muslim soldier went back as a rich man because there was so much, gold and jewels, and it was an empire based on dharma, on good, on good governance, on tolerance, and the last great Hindu empire. So I'm doing an exhibition in Vijayanagar with one of the best painters in India, Ravi Deo, and of course it's an expensive exhibition. Each painting costs 40,000 rupees, but it's the highest quality. The details and the the historical background is of the highest quality. So I have come to you today because I need money for that museum. It's a Seva project. I do it because I feel I have a debt towards India. India has given me so much, and I would like to give back something. And this museum, I feel, more than my books and articles and my defending Hindus for 30 years, is something that will stay behind me. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So let me just share our presentation here, and we will just look at some of the generous supporters who have supported the Francois mission, the FACT mission. So we are just going to scroll down. Um, you can see that Agarwal Foundation, Dr. Bandaru, Dr. Raj K. Gandhi, Hansraj Gandhi, Ravi Tilak, Vivek Kapoor, and so on. Like there are a lot of people who have been generously supporting over the years. But as as Mr. Gautier, that there's a lot of work to be done. So we are just going to go ahead and keep writing the names as people pledge their support. We would also share with you people who have donated in 2020. And now what we are going to do is, while Francois takes a couple of minutes of break to have some water and some tea, we are just going to go ahead and start going towards the museum. So how do we, such a beautiful museum. I've seen this myself in 2016 when I was in Pune, and you can see that, and I'm just going to go ahead and share with you some of the beautiful slides, which he will also share. But the way we go to museum is because it's a museum, which is Shivaji Maharaj museum, basically a royalty. So the way we go to museum is also a royal entry. So there is an instrument called tutari, which was mostly used in Shivakali in historic times to indicate some, announce something auspicious. So let's start with that, and then we'll go through the, beautiful Dasha. And we'll go through the Dhol Tasha, which is another beautiful, way. And just give me a second to.
Pragyaji, we are having issues with the audio.
So how was it? Did it wake?
Actually, we couldn't hear. So the
Oh,
Dol Tasha could not be heard.
is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we heard the first one, but we couldn't hear the second one.
Okay. Do we want to go ahead? Because I don't know if Francois is not ready, we can play it again. If you all want, I can just go ahead and do that. Hold on. And I can check that if you guys are able to hear, and then only we will move on.
I think now it's gone. We cannot hear.
Right?
No, we can't
Can
hear.
hear it. It's loudest now. I know volume. I don't know what's going on. So I will stop it then. Right? Okay. So thank you so much. So now I'm just going to go ahead. So you want me to play the clip, Francois, for the museum? And you can, or you have it? Oh, I'm not able to hear you. No sound. I think you are on.
No, I'm okay now. Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Yes, we can hear. Yeah.
So do you want me to play the museum clip, or you have it? You can play.
You play it.
You play it. You play it.
Okay. Okay.
Dear friends, as some of you may know, I started a foundation called FACT in 2005. I got a prize of journalism called the Nachiketa Award of Excellence in Journalism.
Pradnaji, can you share the video?
That was in 2005. There was a prize money of 50.
What is happening?
Pradnaji, we can't see the video.
Oh, you are not able to see the video?
Right, yeah.
Okay, let me stop and share it again because I'm sharing the video. Hold on.
Dear friends, as some of you may know, I started
No, we can't. No, we can't still see. So if you have two screens, you have to share the screen which has the video, please.
Yes, actually, that's what I was doing, but hold on 1 second. Just bear with me for 1 more minute. It will be on.
Yes,
Can
yes,
you-
yes. Now we, yeah, yes.
Dear friends, as some of you may know, I started a foundation called FACT in 2005. I got a prize of journalism called the Nachiketa Award of Excellence in Journalism at the hands of the Prime Minister in Delhi. That was in 2005. There was a prize money of 50,000 rupees, and I started a foundation called FACT, Foundation Against Continuing Terrorism. Why against continuing terrorism? Because I have seen with my own hands, having covered Kashmir and Sri Lanka and Pakistan and Afghanistan, what terrorism can do to a nation. So the purpose of this foundation was to fight against all kinds of terrorism and the havoc it creates on the human psyche, particularly on Indian society. The first exhibition we did was on the Kashmiri Pandits, you know, the Hindus of Kashmir who were hunted out from Kashmir, about 400,000 of them. I was there. I saw them being killed, murdered, tortured, raped, hanged, and nobody really cared about it. So that was our first exhibition. We mounted it, we opened it in Delhi, in the Habitat Center with L.K. Advani. We carried it all around the world with Sri Ravi Shankar. We showed it in Poland, in the German parliament, in the Israeli parliament, and finally in Washington to the US Congress. And this led to a resolution by the US Congress on the human rights abuse in Kashmir. Then our next exhibition was on Bangladesh. Having covered Bangladesh, I have seen what happened to the, not to the Hindus, but also to the Buddhists, to the Chakmas in Bangladesh, to Christians, even to some of the Muslims, the Ahmadi Muslims who are persecuted there. So we mounted an exhibition, showed it in Calcutta, and again around the world. I've written about 12 books on India. And as I researched for these books, I realized that Indian history is not written as it happened, but has, you know, some vested interest, the British, other colonizers, later historians wanted it to be. Having realized that, I tried in my books to rewrite Indian history, to portray it as it happened. But I found it was not enough. Thus, the idea was born to build a museum of Indian history, to build a museum of real Indian history. So some of you may ask, why build a museum of Indian history? Well, as I said, Indian history is not written as it happened. For instance, if you take the independence movement, most history books say that it started and ended with the Mahatma Gandhi. There is some truth in it, but if you look at the real history of independence, it started much before. You know, visionaries like Sri Aurobindo in the early 1900s asked the British to leave by force if necessary. There was Tilak, there was Deshpande, so many of them, yet they've been swept under the carpet. Nobody talks about their achievement. Then the second reason, of course, is that there is no museum of Indian history in India. There are absolutely no museums of Indian history in India. None worth the name. Thus, it was important to start this museum of Indian history. The third reason is that I want to dedicate this museum to Shivaji Maharaj. Now, the first time I went to Pune, I already admired Shivaji. I thought not only he was a great warrior, he was a great statesman, but in the words of Sri Aurobindo, he was a vibhuti. He was a divine incarnation that came to do a specific job upon earth, which he achieved in a very small time, in 52 years. That's when I came to Pune, I looked for a museum which was dedicated to Shivaji Maharaj. I could find none, and I was very extremely surprised that in Pune, the realm of Shivaji Maharaj, there was absolutely no mention about him except statues. That's the idea I was born, that I would build a museum of Indian history dedicated to Shivaji Maharaj. We made a wonderful exhibition on Shivaji, which we showed again in Delhi, in Bombay, in Calcutta, in Pune, which was a great success. This will be the prime focus of our museum, because again, you see that Shivaji Maharaj today is treated as a, as a small warrior, as a guerrilla warfare man. Yet he was such a man of great vision. He did so much for India. Because of him, the culture in Central India and South India has been protected. And today you find that when you travel from Delhi to Madras, you find that the culture, the religion, the people are much more gentle there because of what Shivaji Maharaj did. The fourth reason, that I have been throughout the years a great defender of the Hindus. Why the Hindus? Because in the ancient times, any Indian, whether he was of the Hindu religion, whether he was a Muslim, whether he was a Christian, was called a Hindu from the Indus. And I discovered throughout the years when I started reporting that the people who are called the Hindus are some of the most gentle, most tolerant, who have a philosophy, a spirituality and outlook which is unique in the world. Later, when I started becoming a political correspondent, I also discovered that the Hindus have been probably the most persecuted people in the world. The most persecuted people in the world. Only today in Kashmir, where 400,000 Hindus have been chased, is not only in Bangladesh today, where there were 27% Hindus in 1947 and today 6 or 7%. It's not only in Assam, it's not only in Afghanistan or in Pakistan, it's also in ancient history. From the Hindu Kush, which means the massacres of Hindus, where it said that more than 1 million Hindus might have died, either being taken by slaves to Afghanistan, murdered. Till Timur, till Aurangzeb, Hindus have been massacred at an extraordinary pace throughout history. This part of history has been swept under the carpet. Today nobody wants to talk about it. Thus, in our museum, we'll have an entire wing dedicated to the Hindu Holocaust. Now people tell me, why rake the past? It will create communal disharmony, it will stir up old feelings. But I tell you, no nation can move forward unless it looks squarely at its past, the good and the bad, the good and the ugly. Now, in France, for instance, we have not yet looked properly at what we did during the Second World War, when we handed most of our Jews, 7, 8, 10, 20 generations of French people to the Germans, where they were slaughtered in concentration camps. 6 million of Jews died, and today this Holocaust is remembered. It doesn't mean that Germany and Israel have bad relationship. They have very good relationship. So we need to look at the past, and we need to make Indian children not only proud of their history, but also aware of what has happened to generations of their forefathers. I feel it's very important. Yet, this museum will be positive. People will come out feeling happy, feeling proud. We will start with the Vedas, and we will show that the greatness of India started with the Vedas. Much, much longer than the British said. Max Muller said the Vedas 1500s before Christ. And today it is found out that the Vedas may be at least 10,000 years before Christ. The greatness of the Vedas, not only spiritual but also scientific, Vedic mathematics, Vedic astronomy. The French astronomers of the 18th century used to say that the Hindus knew much before us the distance between the earth and the sun and the stars. Vedic astrology, Vedic spirituality. This is the foundation of our museum, from the Vedas till today, and not sweeping under the carpet the great Holocaust, not only of the Hindus, but other people, of the Christians, of the Muslims, of the Buddhists. This museum is a very noble project. It's a difficult project, because as you may understand, there are many hurdles, there are many people who feel that it should not be. It is difficult to raise money for that museum, but it's a very noble project. It's something which will be remembered for centuries, because it will be something that will put in stone, in the matter, the entire history of the Dharma, of that unique nation which is India. You can donate without fear. We are a registered trust with the government of India. We have tax exemption both in India and in the US. We have FCRA, which is the permission to receive foreign donation in India. We have chartered accountant, our accounts are absolutely open, your money is safe, and we will keep updating you on the progress made by the museum. At the moment, if you go on factindia.com, you can see the building, you can see what's happening, you can see the new exhibition. There are so many new exhibitions which are commissioned right now on Darashuko, on Maharana Rana Pratap, on the Hindu Holocaust, on mathematics. Please donate. Hindus can build a stone or many, many stones of that museum. We're expecting your donations and we thank you for that. Namaskar.
Thank you so much. Wasn't it a wonderful virtual tour? It was like, with pandemic, there are so many things. Sometimes they're good, like you don't have to go to Pune and you are sitting at your home and you're watching. So I will give it back to Francois, but before that, I would just share the some of the donor names, and I would like to invite Dhirenji and Chandrakalaji, who are our volunteers, and then I will give it Francois ji again. So give me 1 second here. Sorry, I think I need to just share something else. Dhirenji and Chandrakalaji, why don't you come? Meanwhile, I will get the slide with the donor names.
Sure. Namaste, everybody. This is Dhiren Mehta here. It is my pleasure to face such an audience and looking forward to your contribution.
Chandrakalaji?
Yes, I'm too doing that.
Give me 1 second. Why don't I do one thing? Meanwhile, I will also go ahead and share the slide which Francois ji wanted to explain. So it is right here. Are you all able to see this?
No.
Okay, give me 1 second. There's some issue with the sharing. Yeah, how about now?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I would request Francois ji to come and just go through these numbers with the audience.
You want me to comment on this budget?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So this is what has been done so far. I would say that we've invested about 4.5 crores in the Indian rupees in the museum so far. The early work, the digging of the wells, the leveling of the land, digging of a pond. We have a huge pond to collect rainwater. The planting of trees, the fencing, etc. And then the temple, then the first buildings. So about 4.5 crores have been invested in that museum. And so now we have occupied actually, the museum is there's a part of it which is near the road, or the road that goes from Pune to the past the museum. So the entire area is covered now. We have to go upwards now towards the flat, toward the top, because we have no more place. So money has been well utilized. Now, what we need to do now, as I said, there is about 1 lakh rupee, 100,000 rupees. I don't know how much is that in dollars, every month of salaries and recurring expenses, and like electricity, water. And at the moment, we are doing 4 new exhibitions. One on Vijayanagar. That's about 50 paintings that each is costing 40,000 rupees. So that's 20 lakhs for the Vijayanagar exhibition. The other one is on Jijabai, the mother of Shivaji Maharaj, the Shakti of Shivaji Maharaj. That's 25,000 rupees a painting again about 45, 50 paintings. Then one on in Udaipur on Tarabai. Each painting is 20,000 rupees, 50 paintings, so that's about 10 lakhs rupees, 1 million rupees. Then the fourth one on the Rani Ki Turche Nama, that's done in Bombay. Each painting is again 20,000 rupees. We have finished about 30 paintings, so that's 10 lakhs, of which we have already received and done painting worth of 6 lakhs. Then we need buildings, 3 buildings. I'm planning to do actually a very long building on the other side of the land, which will be divided in 3 buildings. That's about 10 lakhs for this new building. And then we have some repairs because there have been very heavy rains this year in Pune and Mumbai. So the Aliyabai building needs to be redone. The roof, we need to repaint some of the buildings. That is the Dara Shoko building, the Aurangzeb building, and the Hindu Holocaust building. So these are some of the costs that we need urgently at the moment. I'm not talking about the final museum, the state-of-the-art museum, which will be on top, for which, with God's grace and my wife's blessing, I will get hopefully one day 15 crores rupees. But for the moment, we leave it aside. So we continue to develop the museum in an organic manner. You know, when the money comes, we'll do one building, one exhibition. So at the moment, this is what I need: 3 buildings, 4 new exhibitions, and some renovating to be done in the museum. You know, this museum, what my experience and my wife's experience is that unless we put constant attention on it and keep on, doing something, some exhibition, renovating, building, it tends to drop down. The energy drops down. So we need always to do something. And one of the new things that I'm doing now, as I said, we have this temple, Bharat Mata temple, at the entrance of the museum, because museums are temples of knowledge, and this is the first thing that I did when I started this museum. Now, we have one pandit who comes every morning to do arti. Now, I'm going to hire a permanent pandit connected to the art of living. I think he's very well versed in the Rig Veda. He has a diploma of the Rig Veda. So we're going to employ him permanently. And for that, we need to pay him 20,000 rupees a month, plus your expenses for oil and flowers, and so about 25,000 rupees a month I need for a permanent pandit, so that more and more people are attracted and atmosphere is created. I believe that an atmosphere is very important for a museum. So from this temple, an atmosphere will be created of a temple of knowledge, of some kind of sacredness. This is more or less what we need at the moment. So I would say about $10,000. We need about $10,000 to carry on the work, to renovate and carry on the work that we have embarked upon.
Okay, now let me just share the names of the donors.
And my wife would like to say a few words.
So these, can you see the names of the donors for 2020?
Yes.
Yeah. So I would request Dhirenji and Chandrakalaji to just announce their names, as well as if you have to say anything to our audience.
Okay. The first donation is from APPWW in Washington State, that France had a small lecture on, and they donated 1,001. Dr. B.P. Lati, he donated 1,000. Dr. Raj Gandhi, who has been a great supporter of the museum, he donated $1,000. And Giridharan Bharatan, $350. Mandar Apte, $500. Naresh Chalimeda, 501. Pradnya Kisti, $1,000. Preeti Mahajan, $1,000. Ravi Tilak has been regularly paying that much. $5,000. Sharayu Tulpule, $500. SMAP, that's the Maharashtra organization on the West Coast, 1,351, generously done. Vikas Nidhi Mehta, 500. Junjunwala, 1,001. Prakash and Neela Wagmare, 501. Virendra and Vidya Labru, 500. Akshay Joshi, 150. Nutan Bagul, 100. And Pradhan Kisti, 1,000.
That's better. Dhirenji, would you like to say anything? You can still say.
Yeah,
there are
so
some points. Yeah.
am I audible?
Yeah, yes.
So my appeal to everybody is that Fransaj is putting a lot of effort here, and it is our fortunate that we are fortunate that we have somebody who is taking the lead here, somebody who is ready to present and fight with current left cultures, etc., and even putting sometimes his life at risk to bring out our true history, which is very important for our next generation to really take pride on themselves. If we are not proud of our own history, we will not have confidence. And that we see today in a lot of young generation, that they do feel timid, they do feel that they are not at par with so-called Westerners who are supposed to be superior, just because we are not taught our correct history. We are not taught how we had such a great hero and heroine. We had such great empires that spread across in going Cambodia, Vietnam, even in current western side in Iraq, Iran we had, and we had built so much of temples, so much of architecture, so much culture, so much of sculptures, and all that thing is, unless it is brought to the knowledge of our next generation, they will not feel proud about themselves. And I think that is the opportunity that we have here through this museum to highlight glimpse of our culture and heritage. And that's why my request to everybody, please donate generously. And if you would like to contribute in other ways as well, in terms of doing service, like the volunteers here, and we'll be very happy to have you join us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dhirenji. So we have volunteers actually who are putting the in the chat box the links where you can donate, and I'll also share with you different ways you can donate. So if you can see this, basically this is like a pledge card. As both of them mentioned, you can pledge the amount. You don't have to make the payment right away. You can also give your phone number and contact details, and we'll make sure that we reach out to you. The next way you can do is you can go to the FACT website, factusa.org. Also, you can click this link, and as we speak, the volunteers are putting it in the chat box. So you can use your credit card, you can use your PayPal account, whatever you feel comfortable, you can use. We also have some attendees from India, all the way they are attending. So we have an SBI link, which is again there on the FACT Museum website as well. Please make sure that you click this link and follow the process. One more way you can do is you can also buy the book, educate yourself more about it. You have two different Amazon India as well as Amazon USA link. And with that said, I would request Namrataji to basically share her thoughts and anything she wants to with the attendees. Namrataji, may we request you?
Namaskar. Yeah. Namaskar, everybody. Dhirenji said that this temple of knowledge is for the future. It's for the future of our children. And we are all just instruments to make it manifest. Francois, myself, the whole FACT team here in India and in the US, who work tirelessly as Seva warriors. All of us are just doing Seva to bring and highlight the knowledge and the the heroes and heroines of this country so that our children grow up feeling proud to be Indian. I grew up being convent educated, so I studied history through the eyes of the British. I would like our future generation to be educated like that. They need to know where we are coming from, who we are ancestors of, so that they can take this knowledge forward. We are already past the way of being re-educated, but at least let's give the children who are coming and growing up the right knowledge. Then they can go forward with their head held high and say, yes, we come from this fantastic race from India, from Bharat Mata. So this museum is just a small effort to bring this and highlight this for not only our people, but also for the world, because India is the spiritual leader of the world. So we as Indians have to manifest this greatness in us before we can take it forward, that people, when they look at us, feel this vibration of something which is great, which is rich. And this museum is an effort towards that, not only studying the history, but bringing it into the future as a center of knowledge. We cannot do it without your help. It is only got so far thanks to so many contributors. It is not a museum of fact. It is a museum that belongs to all of us. So open your hearts, be part of this endeavor to manifest the greatness of India, its history, its present, and its future. So I would really pray to all of you to be generous and donate in whichever way you can, with seva, with money, with, if you have some knowledge that you feel that could be utilized in the museum, go ahead and contact the FACT team. We have a fantastic team in US, and just go ahead and contact them. They will guide you. Write to Francois. He will guide you how you can be part of this march forward. Namaskar.
That was so wonderful. Thank you so much, Nimrita ji. As you said rightly, this is a museum of each and every one of us, and it's for our own future generation. And you too have done so much work. I think I again have to say that, you know, Francois ji is more Indian than most Indians. So I think if we want to give couple of minutes for people to, you know, write their names and their phone numbers and the amount they would like to pledge. Let's do that. You can always reach out to, we have many co-hosts. So please put it in the text box and we'll announce it. And you can also take this time to go ahead and buy the book. Would you like to say anything, Francois ji?
No, what Namrita said, I think, covered everything. I still feel that the problem today in India is that children are brought up without being proud of their own culture and history, and as a result, are rootless and tend later to look down upon their country. So economically, it's a dead weight, because you see the Chinese were never colonized, and the Chinese abroad, the Chinese Americans, as soon as China started coming up, they went back to China. Whatever they have learned, they put at the service of China. They're nationalistic, to the point of jingoism. So in India, we continue to churn out, generations of kids who don't know about Shivaji Maharaj, don't know about Kalidasa, don't know about Maharana Pratap, don't know about Sri Aurobindo. And as a result, the biggest brain drain in the world is still that of the Hindus. The biggest brain drain in the world is still that of the Hindus, because Hindus, except a few exceptions, and I think some of the listeners today are part of the exceptions, are not brought to be proud of being Hindus or being Indians. So this museum is an attempt to change that. It's a small attempt because only the Indian government can do that. Only the Indian government has to change the curriculums in the schools, in the universities. But so far, I have seen three since Mr. Modi came to power. I've met and respected also three different education minister, HRD ministers, Mrs. Smriti Irani, Mr. Javadekar, and now Mr. Pokhriya, Ramesh Pokhriya, but none of them have yet set to change the curriculums. So I'm a little worried about that. You know, if you see the United States, there are so many different ethnic people coming from different countries in the world who have made America their homes, including India, and they're all proud to be Americans. Why can't we have this in India? Why can't we have this in India? And I've been fighting for 30 years in my books and my articles and this museum to tell India, you know, it's great to be an Indian. You know, it's great to be born a Hindu. It's a privilege because you are the holder of the last living spirituality in the world. Who am I? What happens when I die? Why am I reborn? What is consciousness? What is an avatar? What is karma? What is dharma? This knowledge was once roamed the world. I think it was there in Egypt, it was there in Greece, it was there in the Celtic world in Europe. It's lost today. Only India still holds it. Only the Hindus still hold that knowledge. And as a Westerner, when I came to India and I came across that knowledge, I said, wow, this knowledge is, you know, so precious. And also tools to become a better person, pranayama, meditation, you know, Ayurveda. I'm very sad today to see that because the Indian government has allowed Ayurvedic surgeons to perform surgeries, the entire allopathic, medical corps is protesting. You know, it shows that how westernized the Indian mind is today, because the first surgery in the world was that of Ayurveda. You know, Ayurveda did plastic surgery, you know, 2,000 years before the Western surgeons did it. You know, Ayurveda knew before anybody that many illness have psychosomatic origins. That means they start in the mind and then they go into the body. You know, this is ancient knowledge. So today we see that in India, the country of Ayurveda, you know, doctors are protesting because the government has allowed Ayurvedic doctors to perform surgeries. Very, very sad, I must say. Very, very sad. That's all I want to say.
Thank you so much. It's so beautiful. Now we have some good news. We have some donations coming in. I would like to announce that we have Arvindji Sant and Pratibha Sant, 51,000 rupees. Then we have Uma and Naresh Chonde, $100. Nutan Bagul, $100. And then I think there's one more donation for 200 and actually, hold on. Yes, $201 from Swapnali Patil. So thank you so much. Keep donating. We also have $100, $101 from Gaurang from Chicago. So we will keep announcing that. Meanwhile, you can keep writing. I would request Ganeshji Ramkrishnan to please go ahead and share the vote of thanks. I'm just going to share the slide with you. Hold on one second. Give me 1 second, Ganeshji. Let me introduce Ganeshi meanwhile. Ganeshi is a engineer, works in a IT field. He's also an MBA. He is also a board member for Feeding Middlesex County in New Jersey, and he has done a wonderful job with Seva Diwali project. And he's very, very dedicated and always ready to help no matter what happens. So welcome, Ganeshji. Please go ahead and offer the vote of thanks. Ganeshji, are you there? Can we see Ganeshji? Okay, Shreyasji, would you like to go ahead and offer the vote of thanks? I have the names here on the slide.
Absolutely. So this is Shreyas Joshi from North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm so excited actually to be here on this call and get an opportunity to interact personally with Francois ji. So this was a fantastic opportunity. What we saw here was a collaboration of so many volunteers who work day and night for quite a few weeks now. So I just want to make sure that I go over a couple of names here. I first of all wanted to thank all the attendees. Actually, I would start with thanking Francois ji for this fantastic initiative that he has started. I call it Francois ji is building tomorrow's legacy today for our future generations. And, so my personal heartfelt appreciation to Francois ji and Namrata ji and to this team of volunteers. I also want to thank everyone who attended this event here. At the same time, those who were watching live on Facebook and other places. I'm sure it's going to be available as a recorded video as well for those who could not attend today. There is a very similar event coming up tomorrow. So please make sure your friends, family can attend tomorrow as well. I also want to thank all donors that have been supporting this initiative very generously. And the volunteers who are sitting here for quite some time now, helping orchestrate this event. There is a fantastic staff sitting there in the FACT Museum itself, day and night, a lot of hard work. And we heard the difficulties that the museum had to go through from Francois ji. And so they are sitting there at museum, front-ending everything, right? And so my appreciation and thanks to the FACT Museum staff as well. We have our media partners, Telugu Radio, specifically Mr. Vilas Reddy and his staff for all their support that they have provided for this event and many similar events. Dil Radio, Mr. Pradeep and Snehal Vez. One Universal Radio, hosted by Sandeep Pednekar. Kohana, Nikunj Trivedi, we had a fantastic event just a day ago with an interview of Mr. Francois ji. It was worth listening. If you've not heard it, I strongly recommend you take a look at the Facebook live feed on that. Mana TV, Sharad ji and staff. Jai Bharat, Dol and Tasha Pathak, Dol and Tasha. Vasant ji and Manisha Madhavi, we heard the Dol and Tasha. It was a good entry into our museum, into our virtual tour of the museum. I really enjoyed it. It was very nice. As usual, Hindu Swayam Sevak Sangh, it's always at help to any of the Hindu causes. Thank you, HSS, for all your support. Art of Living Foundation has been a strong supporter of Francois ji for quite some time. We heard during his talk. Art of Living also donated land for the museum. And so we are eternally thankful to Art of Living Foundation for that. Isha Foundation has been very helpful to our organization as well. Thank you very much for Isha Foundation's help and Sadhguruji. SMAP Parivar, thank you very much for your help. Telugu Association President Manju Bhargava, thank you very much for the help you have provided. Towards the end, we have some youth singers that we must appreciate. Prisha, Krupa, and Ishan. All the enthusiasm with which you provided your voice to this event, it's much appreciated. And all the fact volunteers, everyone that helped in planning this event and executing this event. So thank you very much. Back to you, Pragnaji.
Thank you so much, Rejji. So this gratitude is on behalf of FACT to everyone. Now I would like to invite our young angel, Krupa Chonde, a beautiful second grader student who learns Hindustani classical music. She loves to meditate and she's going to sing the Rashtra Geet, Jana Gana Mana. And I'm going to invite her. I will stop sharing so we can go ahead and spotlight her. I would request hosts to spotlight Krupa Chonde. And also unmute her because she needs to. Krupa, can you say something? Can you?
पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाए तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय जय हे जय 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 भारत माता की जय
जय वंदे
Mataram. So beautiful. Thank you so much, Kripa. And this is where, yes, see, this is where we see the effect of our culture, our heritage. Wasn't it so beautiful? And I think that gives us one more reason why we should be thinking of supporting the museum every year, every month, because it is part of our life. And so, thank you so much for attending this event. Thank you on behalf of FACT. This is not the end of it. As Shreshji mentioned, we have an event tomorrow because a lot of people want to attend. So tomorrow it's at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And Francois G will be again doing this. He will be sharing all these. In fact, tomorrow we will also have the new museums, 2 new exhibitions of Tarabai and Rani Kittu Chennamma. And what I like about it is he is planning to have 9 such heroines. I don't think anybody would have ever, because I myself, being from Maharashtra, did not know much about Tarabai. And when Francois Ji told, I could know that, my God, she fought for 20 years, and that just gave a different kind of empowerment. So I'm telling you, this is so, so essential. All of us decide that we will reach out to our friends, bring more people tomorrow, and we'll support this as a part of our, our kartavya, I would say. This is one of our duties if we want, our culture to stay. Because we all love to wear, our cultural clothes, eat our Indian food, have our music, have our history, rituals, and that cannot be protected unless, we have museums like the fact museum, the Shivaji Maharaj Museum, the books which he's writing. So this is something which all of us can do it together. It's not one person's job. And you can see how much they both have done, Namrata ji and Francois ji. So with that said, thank you so much.
So Pradnya ji, we do have some time for the Q&A, correct?
Oh, yes, we do have. In fact, we would ask Francois ji because he has had a long day, but I think I would leave this him. So
we can unmute. Yeah, we can unmute the folks or. Yeah.
We are not able to hear you.
Yeah, because you have to unmute me.
Yes, now we can hear you. Yes, now we can hear you. Yeah.
So what would you like me to say?
People have some questions, so they would like to see whether they can ask you questions.
Sure.
Yeah.
So anyone who would like to know more about the book, more about the museum, they can ask anything that they want to Francois. So you can unmute yourself and you can ask. Yeah.
You can even type the question in the chat if you want.
So all the audience can unmute. Yeah.
Is that the question? Will Hindu Dharma survive? Is that the first question? Will Hindu Dharma survive?
Yes.
Now, this is a very good question. I know many Hindus, traditional Hindus, who say nothing will ever happen. Hindu Dharma will survive. There is no question about it. I am not so sure. I think at the moment, for a long time, they were, Hindus were facing Muslim invasion. Okay, they were very bloody, but India survived that. Even during Aurangzeb time, India was still one of the richest countries in the world. Then the British came. The British bled India economically. Now, at the moment, they're not only there are so many forces which are against Hindu Dharma. We see it at the moment is that the Marxist intelligentsia, most of the media, most of the intellectuals in India and abroad, academics in American universities, and then the Christian conversions, which are very, very drastic. Places like Andhra Pradesh, the official statistic is that there are 2 to 3% Christians in India, but I think that's not true anymore. Places in Andhra Pradesh, at least 20% have been converted to Christianity. Tamil Nadu is the same. Kerala, there are at least 40% Christians. Conversions are going on in the northeast. So, Muslim fundamentalism, Christian conversions, Marxism, the hostility of the Indologists, most of the Western Indologists, whether it's Mr. Witzel or Mrs. Truchke in the US or Christophe Jaffrelot in Paris, the hostility of the Western media. We have seen when Mr. Modi removed Article 370, which was a very unjust and very, very bad decree, whereby Muslims from the Valley of Kashmir could invest anywhere in India, buy houses, start businesses, and indeed we see that today Kashmiris, Muslims have cornered, have a monopoly of the souvenir trade in India. Even in Pondicherry, they are there. They are everywhere. They've come to Auroville, which is a small village, and they have most of the shops selling souvenirs and also selling hashish and drugs. But Indians could not go to Kashmir. Indians could not go and buy land or start a business in Kashmir or buy a house or build a house. So it was totally unjust. So Mr. Modi said something which was wrong, right? And yet the coverage, in the Western press, was terrible. I mean, in France, my country, Mr. Modi had been accused when he removed Article 370 of, targeting the Muslim, the total disinformation. So at the moment, the Hindu Dharma, this knowledge, precious knowledge, is attacked from everywhere. So I think it's a battle, in the spirit of the Bhagavad Gita. You fight the battle and you leave the results to God. But I don't think the outcome of the battle is decreed. I think God has made a world where there's a freedom of choice. And man has to choose. He has to choose between right and wrong, between dharma and adharma. So I am not like those Hindus who say nothing will ever happen to Hindu dharma. I am a fighter, so I fight, but I'm not sure that, at the moment it looks very precarious. And even Mr. Modi, we see it with the farmers' agitation. He's fighting a very, very difficult battle. So he needs your support. Okay, so what is the second question?
Second question is, these three are related questions. Will India survive as a Hindu majority nation? And third question is, what will you do as an individual?
Okay, so will India survive as a Hindu majority nation? I think Islam is going to implode. Islam is fighting the whole world at the moment. Not only India, not only Europe, not only America, but also in China. So Islam cannot take on the whole world. It's not only a few jihadists who blow themselves up or blow up people or ram lorries into people. It's a silent support of most of the entire Muslim majority who doesn't condemn this and just say that this is not Islam, or lie about it, or say, oh, this is because of Kashmir or Chechnya or Palestine. So I think implode. We see it in Pakistan already, which has unleashed so much violence against the world, and which is where they're killing themselves. I mean, Sunnis are killing Shias, and then Taliban is killing Sunnis. So Islam will implode. I think it will be a long and bloody battle, but in the end, Islam will implode or it will transform itself. But I don't think at the moment Islam is ready to reform. So yes, I think India will survive as a Hindu majority nation, and people who say that because Muslims breed much more children than Hindus and Christians or Parsis are wrong. Because of the Islam waging a war against the entire world, a war that it cannot win, I think India will survive as a Hindu majority nation. Also, it's a question of the Hindus, because the biggest enemies of Hindus are not Muslims, they're Hindus. The biggest enemies of Hindus have always been Hindus. In every major invasion, it was a Hindu who betrayed a Hindu. We saw it with Alexander the Great, that the king of Taxila allied with Alexander the Great, against Prithviraj. And so the biggest enemies of Hindus are Hindus, not Muslims. What can you do as an individual? You have to unite with other Hindus. The problem of Hindus is that they are bitterly divided, including America, where there are thousands, different Hindu organizations, according to state, according to profession, and they fight each other. When I went to the last, World Hindu Conference in Chicago, it was boycotted by one of the main Hindu organizations in the US, the HAF, and as a result, Congresswoman, whom I forgot the name, who was a Hindu, did not attend the conference. She was a chief guest, and so as an individual, you can try to unite Hindus around you and protest whenever Hindus are maligned. And I think in the US, Hindus are maligned a lot. Mr. Modi is maligned a lot. The BJP is maligned a lot. So when CNN or New York Times write a wrongful article that India is the capital of rape or capital of caste or capital of Hindu fundamentalism, you should write an email, you should, protest. So you can do a lot as an individual, you can do it online also. So it's a question that you should not ask, actually.
Thank you.
There is one more question here, and that says, you have mentioned having talked to various HRD ministers and not getting favorable support for revamping and redoing Indian history. Do you think the recently passed new education policy of 2020 addresses some of your suggestions and observations?
No, I don't think that it does. You know? I think it's just the fringe, you know. I mean, the government, I remember with Murli Mana Joshi tried to have the singing of Vande Mataram, you know, included in classes. There was such an outcry. That was 20 years ago. So I think the government, it does not dare to really, you know, strike at the heart of the matter, which is the curriculum, you know. So, you know, it's just unless you reintroduce, you know, the great heroes and heroines of India, and of course, most of them are Hindus, in the teaching of Indian history in schools and universities, unless you have Sri Aurobindo in, you know, universities that teaches philosophy, unless you have Vedic mathematics, you know, in the university, I don't think you're doing, you know, anything worth the while. And one of the failings of Mr. Modi is that he has not addressed, though he knows about it, I'm sure, he has not addressed the heart of the matter. So the new education policy is not going to make a big change. In my opinion, I may be wrong. You know, I may be wrong, but there are so many things to be done, you know. And recently I was invited in the Benares Hindu University. You should see what has become of that university. The word Hindu is not deserved anymore. I mean, there are classes, there are yoga classes on Sunday. I think there are 5,000 students in the university. Out of 5,000 students, maybe 20 students come to the yoga classes, you know, on Sunday. I gave a lecture on Indian history. Maybe another 20, 25 people came from the entire university. So the secularism and the Nehruvianism of education are seeped everywhere. It's not only the JNU, you know. I mean, Benares Hindu University is one of the universities that should teach, you know, pranayama and yoga, hatha yoga, have it compulsory, but it is not. So the disease of secularism is still everywhere today, you know, including in the BJP, you know, including in the BJP, because I spent a lot of time in Delhi. I have met a lot of ministers, some good people, you know. I mean, Mr. Nirmala Sitharaman, I spoke about the HRD minister. I meet Mr. Gadkari also quite often, you know, and I see that they function in a system, you know, made by the Congress with 7 rings of private secretary and private assistant and another 4 rings of peons and, and people who man the phones. And you know, it's impossible to, you know, it's impossible, even if you have genuine work, it's impossible to get through to a minister today. Whether in my country, in France, the US, you know, you can access a congressman very easily. In India, function in the same system that Mr. Nehru set up, so you cannot access your you know, and the MPs who were elected from Tamil Nadu or Kerala or Karnataka, who may start with genuine aspiration, comes to Delhi, gets a fantastic bungalow, gets 25 people to serve him, gets a good car, goes in that parliament that is like a fish market, worse than a fish market because nothing much is conducted there. And so, you know, the entire system, education, the judiciary, you know, people, anybody can do a court case take 20 to 25 years to be solved. You know, the Supreme Court has mostly, you know, a very secular approach. Ayodhya was the exception, I must say. So you need a revolution. You need, you know, I mean, you need a revolution. I'm sad that Mr. Modi decided to do parliament in Delhi, because Delhi is so far away from the rest of India. It's so disconnected from the heart of India that, you know, Delhi is a big bubble. So, you know, I'm a pessimistic, but again, you know, in the Bhagavad Gita, we need to fight, we need to do our bit. And as I said earlier, as an individual, you can fight, you can do your bit. I'm doing my bit, you know. Everybody does his bit, you know, maybe with God's grace, because God has always been with India, there's always been a divine grace on India, you know, we will solve the problems.
Thank you. Can we take one last question? There's one question from Salil Gohar. Hello, I'm from Pune, Maharashtra. I'm a graduate and postgraduate in Sanskrit. I observe that in nowadays, Roman Catholic priests are studying and learning Sanskrit in a very large scale. My question is that why are they studying Sanskrit and Hinduism?
No, you see, for a long time, the Christian missionaries just came with the white robes, you know, and you know, very, very, you know, strict, you rules that, you commit a sin if you dress like a Hindu or wear a sari or wear a putu. Now, since, maybe 50, 60 years, they have understood that, if you, Hindus are very innocent. So if you adopt some of the customs of the Hindus, dress in orange, have some, pujas, with the Christ, and, learn, if you know a little bit of Sanskrit, you can convert more easily Hindus, that's all. It's not that they have an interest in Sanskrit and Hinduism. The thing is, again, that if you take the Jews, when they got their nation, Israel, in 1948, there was no language. There was a dead language, which was Hebrew. And, they spoke, most of the Jews came from all over the world. They spoke different language. And they had a bastard version of the Hebrew language. So what they did, they put scholars, they locked them in a room for 6 months, and they told them to modernize Hebrew. And today, Hebrew is a national language of Israel. Every Israeli speaks Hebrew. Now, nobody did this Sanskrit. Sanskrit, of course, is a beautiful, very complex language, extraordinary language, but unless you had simplified it, in 1947, made it a living language, a simple language to learn and to talk, it would have been the national language of India, would have replaced English. And Sri Aurobindo insisted, from the 100 years ago, he said, we need to have Sanskrit as a national language. It was not done. And today, if you try, there will be such an outcry from the intellectual, the media, the Muslim, the Christian, that, as for education, it will not be accepted. So again, the fault lies with the Hindus, not with the Christian missionaries.
Okay. Any
There is
more
one question from Vinayak, and it may be relevant because the audience here is mostly US, and he's asking about what is the future of Hindus in USA, especially after recent election. And we did some discussion with Francois on the election, so you might want to talk about that.
You see, Jews in the US, whether there's a democratic movement, democratic government, whether the Republican government, they have a very powerful lobby. And they're not as many as the Hindus. I don't know how many Hindus are in the US, but there must be 3-4 millions. And the Jews, are not, there must be, 300, 400, 500,000 Jews in the US. So, but they have a very powerful lobby because they're united. So the future of the Hindus in the US is bright, I think. As long as the Hindus are united and not ashamed of their inheritance, not pretend to be more democratic than the Democrats, and speak, I guess, like Mrs. Kamala Harris will do to prove that she's more American, than the Americans. She will, criticize Mr. Modi, criticize Kashmir. I'm guessing, I may be wrong, but I'm guessing, when she becomes vice president. And then Mr. Biden is quite old, it might be that she becomes the president also, in the first or second mandate. So the future of Hindus in the US is bright, as long as they unite and they remain true to their roots. It cannot be a handful of Hindus who are listening to this online webinar, and there are so few of them, unfortunately. It has to be, the lobby of Hindus, the powerful Hindus, because Hindus are doing well in the US, they're very educated, their children top in universities, some of their parents, are, teachers and businessmen, head important corporations. So potentially the lobby of Hindus is enormous, but it doesn't exist, And the Hindus we see that come to the government are mostly those who renegade on their roots, spit on their roots, say, okay, I'm more Christian or I'm more democratic than a Hindu. I'm not a Hindu. I'm not a Hindu. I'm not a Hindu. So unless you say, I'm a Hindu, I'm an American, but I'm also proud of my Hindu roots, I want to serve America, but I want to bring some Indianness also to America because America gave me, shelter and, adopted me and gave me opportunities, I am an American, but I want to donate something, I'm a Frenchman, I want to donate something. So unless this happens, the potential of Hindu lobby will remain a potential only.
So there is this one question, I don't know whether it was read, but this is from Ravi Jaishankar. Can you comment on how France, Macron, and even Europe at large are currently handling the force of Islam especially with the caricatures of their prophet being an intense spark of new Muslim discontent. What will be the future of France and Europe be in regards to Islam's encroachment?
See, France is in a big crisis at the moment. If you look on Twitter, you see every day, the French Muslims are going on rampage. They break shops, they burn buses, they attack the police. It is true that French, are courageous people. When the killing of Charlie Hebdo happened, the whole of France, half of France came in the streets to protest. But the politicians are not made of the same stuff. I mean, Mr. Macron came out. He's one of the only European leaders who came out and said, Islam needs to reform, the French Muslims need to fall in line. But the minute after he says Arabic has to be taught in school. So it's a very mixed message. France, like Germany, has accepted a lot of immigrants, and we know that Muslim, even good Muslim, because we shouldn't make it black and white, good Muslim, bad Muslim. No, even good Muslims, their loyalty goes first to Islam and then to the country where they live. America may be an exception, but in France, it is that. They're very, very talented French Muslim. In fact, some of the most talented people today in France, the comics, the writers, the poets, the actors, the film directors, are Muslim, French Muslims. But, when it comes to the cracks, their loyalty goes to Islam, so they may feel very French, but we see today in France that even like there's a very famous footballer, one of those who, black French footballers who, won the World Cup, the last World Cup that France won, and he came out saying that, we French Muslims feel very persecuted. It's untrue, it's untrue. France is a very secular country and anybody has the same chance. And I know so many French Muslims, who are as French as me. The thing is, Europe is in a crisis today, and I think it's got to do with karma also, because Europe has colonized a lot of Muslim countries, whether it's in Africa, France colonized Morocco and Algeria and Tunisia. In those days, they were not the same standards, and it was exploitation. Like the British in India exploited these countries. They employed these people, they were neo-slaves. And then in the 50s, the French didn't want to do the dirty jobs, pick up the garbage and be masons. So they imported a lot of these Moroccans and Tunisians and Algerians, and they came from, and the great-grandchildren, I think, no, we need to, we need some revenge. We need to right a wrong. You exploited us. So this is happening. Europe is paying a karma, because we have to see it in those terms also, and it's in a big turmoil. I mean, France is in a big turmoil. There's a law and order problem in France. Okay, in Paris, the center, everything might look normal, but you go in the suburbs, some of the suburban Muslim majority, even the police cannot go unless there are a huge force of them. So I think the future of France and Europe is in difficulty. India's future is much better. I think if Islam can come to terms with with the country, it's in India, because in India there's a greater chance. The karma is more on the Muslim side than it is on the Hindu side. The Hindus have a good karma. They never invaded another country. They never tried to impose Hinduism on other country by force. But Europe, sent their armies, to South America, over the world, and they decimated entire, entire civilization, like the Spanish and the Portuguese, decimated the Incas and the Aztecs. So I don't think the future of Europe is very bright at the moment, but the future of India, I think India has a good karma, much better. Okay.
Thank you so much for the generous amount of time you have given to all our attendees. I know it's a long day for you. So thank you all. And please do spread the word about our tomorrow's program, which will start at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And please, keep supporting, be generous, and let's come together to make this a reality. Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.